We haven't obviously been able to see friends at a time when, that'd probably be quite useful.
Being pregnant in normal times can be stressful. But imagine being told you weren't allowed to see friends or family when the baby you were expecting doesn't survive. Or that you are at a higher risk of contracting a potentially deadly virus simply because of the colour of your skin.
It was overwhelming. It was really overwhelming.
We are going on a social distance walk.
When even the simple things we take for granted are restricted.
There's the second walk we've been on.
Our parents won't get to meet our newborn baby.
These are the stories of pregnancy and birth in the pandemic. My name is Kat. I'm a journalist for Sky News who happens to be 7 months pregnant. As we look back on the last few months of lockdown, I've been speaking to pregnant women who, like me, are going through a crucial time of their lives in the pandemic.
It is like you do feel really vulnerable. I think it all compounds with each other. Like if you can't necessarily go out just to do the normal things like food shopping, you would overthink things that you perhaps wouldn't normally do.
It does feel like you're doing it on your own a bit because you have to, go to these appointments on your own.
Where's it gone?
A magician never reveals her secrets.
Not being able to share the joys with family.
My family have literally only saw her last week. That for me was tough.
Hi, baby.
We don't actually know exactly how many babies have been born in lockdown because many haven't been registered yet, but it could be up to 250,000. For most, the experience of pregnancy and birth will have been different, but not dangerous.
Yes, things have changed, but in essence, you will still be getting your maternity care. You will be seeing your midwife regularly. If you need to be referred on to see an obstetrician because things are slightly more complicated, then that will happen.
Just doing some batch cooking for when baby arrives.
For some, this period has made a bad situation much worse. Jess Watson was 7 months pregnant when the lockdown was announced. But at that time, it wasn't her biggest worry. Just 3 months earlier, she had been told her baby had just a 50-50 chance of survival.
He had a congenital diaphragmatic hernia, a condition called CDH, which is basically a hole in the diaphragm, which allows the other organs to push up into the chest space. When lockdown happened, it was sort of even harder. We didn't have that support system with our families and our friends around us, getting close to the due date. And obviously there was a lot of changes within individual hospitals in terms of who would be allowed at the birth. So that was something that we were worried about.
We tried to change our birth plan. That's okay, we got around that. However, we had a small hiccup yesterday. Our maternity unit had changed its guidelines. Things are changing all the time, so we try to keep up to date.
A couple of weeks before I gave birth, I even got a phone call from my midwife saying that all home births were cancelled. I was so upset because they couldn't be supported by the ambulance services.
A survey of senior midwives found that 29% had been forced to close midwife-led birthing units. These units are recommended for low-risk pregnancies, as evidence shows women are less likely to receive interventions, like epidurals, but the outcomes for babies are the same. Most hospitals began to only allow one birthing partner, who had to leave soon after the birth.
We are on our way to the hospital to hopefully have a baby.
And if today's weather's anything to go by, it is almost 15, 16 degrees already. It's looking like a beautiful day and we don't want you to hang around.
Leo was born at 2:38 on the 8th of May, and they told us, obviously, like I said, that they would sort of paralyse him, sedate him as soon as he was born, and so we wouldn't hear him cry. He wouldn't make any sound when he was born, but he had other ideas apparently, and he was born screaming, which was actually quite wonderful because we didn't actually think that we would get to hear his voice.
When I was pregnant with my daughter, it was a really exciting time, whereas this time it's quite anxiety-inducing, you know, stepping into a hospital or into a GP surgery, everyone being masked up in PPE.
I am just over 38 weeks pregnant with my second boy.
Carrots.
Okay.
Tomatoes.
Yeah.
Onions. Spaghetti.
Yeah. We've never had this much time together as a family, and we're never going to get that time back. We're never going to get it again unless this lockdown happens again, which let's hope it doesn't.
So you twist that one.
While families have adapted to the restricted services, involving others in virtual ways, it's been tough to keep track of what is and isn't available. For those most at risk, it could be fatal. Women who are black or from a minority ethnic background are already 5 times more likely to die during childbirth than white women. A recent report found that in the UK, men and women from black and Asian ethnic groups are up to twice as likely as white people to die if they contracted the virus. And of the pregnant women who have been admitted to hospital after contracting COVID-19, 55% were black or from an ethnic minority.
So Prosperities is a social maternal wellbeing social enterprise which supports babe mums. It's emotional support, so being that friend if they need that friend, or that sister or someone to listen to their trouble, stress. But it's also that education support, so telling them that they must go to the hospital or they must call their midwives if they are worried.
Many of the women Clotilde works with feel they aren't listened to. This lack of trust has made the pandemic even more dangerous for them.
So I actually run a mothers group called Mums and Tea, where we're all black women, we all come together, we share our experiences, and anecdotally a lot of women have had the same sort of experience as I have, feeling that they just haven't been listened to, feeling like they've just been left to get on with it, having to labour without any pain relief because of this notion of you're strong, you can do it. Going into the hospitals, knowing that black pregnant women are more likely to be admitted for coronavirus symptoms, it was overwhelming. It was really overwhelming. Just knowing that I was more at risk, that just always put the fear in me, because it's like, oh, am I safe? Is this okay? Should I be wearing PPE? How am I going to breathe under all the, the masks and everything? Is it safe? It's just, yeah, it's a lot. And I was definitely filled with a lot of anxiety.
It's messy, and it'll probably be really annoying in the middle of the night trying to change a nappy in here with all this mess. But it'll be the first grandchild and my mum's only child as well. She's very excited, but I know she's very sad because the realisation is that she won't be able to see her grandchild or have a cuddle, have a hold.
We are going on a social distance walk today with my mum.
Never mind the change in birth preference. I think that is going to be the hardest thing, is the fact that our parents won't get to meet our newborn baby.
These factors have led to an increase in worry, stress and anxiety, not just for parents who are expecting, but also after the birth. There was a 75% increase in calls to the postnatal depression advice and support helpline within the first week of the lockdown announcement. The lack of face-to-face support has left many feeling isolated at a critical time in their lives and their babies.
Up and about on my feet the next morning, and the midwives wheeled me down in a wheelchair to the NICU to see Leo. Unfortunately, by that point, he'd started to deteriorate. He wasn't stabilising, his oxygen levels were never at a point where they were happy with them. They were able to move him into a side room for us take him off the noisy ventilator, keep all the drugs going still. He was still comfortable and still kind of unaware, really. I mean, we know he knew we were there, because when we were changing his nappy and his heart rate was spiking, and the nurse said to us, he's responding to your touch, which was really nice and really comforting to know that he knew we were there. When we were ready, they disconnected the ventilator completely, and he went peacefully with us both there. It's been isolating in the sense that we haven't obviously been able to see friends at a time when, you know, that'd probably be quite useful to have a distraction, or to, you know, have somebody else to talk to about what's sort of been happening, and also to share Leo with other people. We haven't really had the chance to do that properly either. So that's what we're just in the middle of planning his funeral at the moment, and we're only allowed 6 of us there. So again, extended friends and family won't be able to join us, which again is like I said, it's difficult, because you sort of don't feel like you're able to share that with them in the same way, which is, yeah, strange.
We all face continued uncertainty about what the future will look like. But for those who have been through heartbreak, suffered with mental health issues, or simply haven't been heard during a crucial time in their lives, the true impact may take a long time to recover from.
Hi, Nicole here again, and I'm now with baby George.
He was due on the 22nd of May, but fancied keeping us waiting until June. But he's really good.